everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Here with me today is Mr. Brian Terrian, and we are going to talk about how to control doctors and to get and keep and maximize your benefits. So, main topic is the importance of clear and accurate communication with medical professionals for disability claims. So, when you're applying for disability benefits and um, you need to communicate clearly and accurately with your doctors, whether it's your primary care, therapists, and other healthcare providers. They are the ones who can provide evidence with your condition, limitations, and treatment. And I just want to say quick hi to my friends, clients, and members who joined us today. Um, Mr. Mike, Michael, Bennett, David, Dana, Scott, Chrissy, Helen, Kimberly, Rolito, and Juanita. And Linda George, of course. Thank you for joining us today. All right. Um, Brian, do you want to say hi?
Hi. Thanks, Jam. Hey, I don't
Yeah.
know if Philip Price, who's been here with us on a few occasions recently, if he's listening out there, but if you are, Philip, peace.
Hi, Phil.
Look forward to having you back here soon. Yeah, so for today, again, thank you for that wonderful introduction for our live event. This is really driven by like some member questions. So two things that I want to do before we get started is there's a few like real life questions that are relative to this. And then I want to share a snippet from a story of somebody that recently got approved and some of the challenges that they had like through the process that we're going to work on solving. So Jim, I'll do that first and then we can get into the details, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, one other thing, you may be listening to this in a Facebook group or on a web page somewhere or on our YouTube channel, but if you are in a Facebook group or on a YouTube channel, you have the ability to access the chat feature, and that's where you can enter your own like customized question that's relative to this topic or any. We'll take a Q&A at the end, right? Okay, so a few things I want to share, and this is a question that came in from James Clark. So I'm going to ad lib a little bit. What happened with James is he took his doctor's support forms to his doctors. Now, if you're like, what's the doctor's support form? These are key forms that you have for physical and brain health issues that you bring to your doctor. They fill them out. It confirms that you're being treated, what their opinion is and your limitations, and how many days you would miss work. These are available as part of our Social Security Disability Approval course that members have access to. I will talk more about that at the end. So what happened with James, brought him into the doctor, and he said, you know, here's my forms and explained them. And the doctor looked at them and handed them back and said, I'm not going to do this. So that does happen, unfortunately. It was kind of a rude version of it. But in today's event, what we're going to do is help you understand how to go through your doctor visitation process to communicate information to them and make sure it's in your medical records so that you can get your benefits approved. And if you're listening out there and you're already approved, this information is like disability insurance, because when you get your review and Social Security goes back and looks at your medical records, if you make it easy for them to understand that you still qualify through your medical evidence, then you've got one less very big thing to worry about, right?
All right.
This is a participation question that I want to put out there while we're going through this. If people have any suggestions, and this was Jan, this was somebody that you were working with. The flow of the question goes, I have some questions about my pain rating. And listen to the videos that we have here, and we reference veterans that have communication differences, if you will, and how they communicate their pain limitation because they're taught to play hurt. But this is a civilian, and the question is like, how do I rate my pain if it's 1 to 10? Like, how do I know? How do I really know it's a 6 or a 7? And I'm like, you know what? That's a really good question. So, if there's anybody out there that has any advice, like if you're asked to rate your pain, how you rate your pain and how you gauge your pain, if you could put that in the comments, and then Jam, who does a wonderful job of going through those, will feed those back. Do you think I communicated that correctly, Jam?
Yeah.
All right.
You did.
Okay, good.
All right.
Okay.
So,
What's next?
moving on to the importance of keeping to keep your medical professionals informed of your situation. This is for doctor documentation. You should also follow, part of it when you're in treatment is you should also follow their advice and the treatment plan and report any side effects of your problems. If you disagree with your diagnosis or your course of treatment or recommendations, um, you should discuss it with your professional primary care or your health provider, and try to understand the reasoning as well. You should also keep copies of your medical records, prescriptions, test results, and other documents that can prove your disability. By communicating clearly and accurately, your medical professionals can help you increase your chances of getting approved.
Yeah. Good.
And I just want to recap our flow chart. We have mentioned and discussed this few times now on our YouTube live events. Can you open that flow chart? Understanding the disability approval process.
I can, but it's going to conflict with one of the props that I have. So let's just discuss the 4 key points, Jam. And as a reminder, we could always reference that in another event.
Yeah, so 4 key points primarily is getting diagnosis, and then next one would be doctor treatment, and then your limitations, communicating your limitations to your provider, and it will show in your medical records, and then you will get approved for disability benefits. So to summarize, you need to show that your condition prevents you from working and earning a substantial income. And to do this, you need to provide medical evidence that supports your claim and shows your condition affects your ability to function. So medical evidence can include your doctor's reports, test results, treatment records, and any other documents that demonstrate your diagnosis, symptoms, and limitations. So the more detailed and consistent your medical evidence is, the more likely you are to get approved for disability benefits.
Well said. I just want to back up and actually put in an example of what you were referring to by following the doctor's treatment. So an example of that would be, let's say somebody has an autoimmune condition like fibromyalgia, and they're in chronic pain. And so the treatment team says, maybe the rheumatologist or primary says, well, I'd like you to go to pain management, with the thought that that might provide some improvement. So you go to pain management and it's horrific. You don't sleep well, you get to pain management, you're sore, it's just making it worse. So the 2 obvious options you have is just to stop and not say anything, which is not the right option. The better option would be to communicate to your doctor what the effects are, the negative effects, and that you are asking to document it in the medical records so that you stop, and for good reason, and you're compliant. Because if you just stop and Social Security says, well, okay, I'm looking at your history here. You were referred to pain management. You only went once. I don't see why you stopped. If you didn't kept going, you'd feel like $1 million. So you want to prevent that. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So I have a kind of a show and tell part of our program now, and I'm going to play an audio snippet from a member that we worked with that recently got approved. And I'm just going to show my screen right now because this member's wish is to be anonymous. But what I want to preface this, like it'll be about less than a minute that I'm going to play, is that if anybody is listening out there and they're super comfortable with their doctors and they haven't looked at their medical records and they don't take ownership in the process, I want you to really tune in on this like real life story. All right. So, Jim, I'm going to rely on you to make sure that the audio is okay and we can hear it.
Mhm.
Yes, I can give you a perfect example. One of the things that I ran
Okay.
into was misinformation in the process. And the misinformation would either be from the hospital to the S to the Social Security Administration or just within the hospital setting themselves because they had so many departments. I am a victim of Kaiser. There was multiple,
Oh God.
yeah, there was multiple times where information was either missed, mislabeled, not reported correctly. It was horrendous. And then I had to follow up and personally grab my information and make sure it was given to the Social Security Administration on multiple times.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. I think you get the gist of it that um, a lot of people have confidence in the white coat and the doctor's treatment and the medical records. And this isn't the only time that I've heard this, and we've interviewed others about it where they've been misdiagnosed. They've had medications in their medication list that they haven't been prescribed or vice versa. So it's really important to monitor the process. People do make mistakes. And that's one, and people are unorganized, that's two. So having a good relationship with your doctor and the ability to go in and look at this information and collaborate and feed it back to them is is just good disability insurance. Okay. Um, so thank you for the member that contributed that. So we want to talk next about effective communication and like guiding the process and how to communicate your limitations accurately. And we recently did a live event on what it is that you need to prove to get and keep your benefits. I don't know, is that last week or maybe 2 weeks ago? It was recent anyway. But we
Mhm.
cycle through and do that because when in listening to people and even asking the question in the live events here about why they qualify, the common response is listing conditions, right? So somebody would say, I have, for example, I've got fibromyalgia, I've got IBS, I've got depression, and I can't work. And so that's communication, but it's not effectively communicating your limitations. So the limitations are what are, as Jam has explained, the key component to this. And unless your limitations are in your medical records, then Social Security just sees that you have conditions. Well, for example, it could be two people could have diabetes with a comparable A1C of like 7. But for one person, it could have side effects of like being visually impaired, numbness in their extremities, and the other not. So it's just different conditions impact people in different ways. So that is, if there's the biggest chunk of today's message for getting and keeping your benefits, it's understanding your specific limitations and how to communicate those and get them into your medical records. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Jim, let's talk about documenting. Document your your medical history. Let's go through.
Yeah, so that is a very important step in filing when you're filing for a disability claim. A detailed medical history can provide evidence of your condition, its severity, and its impact on your ability to work. So one of the things is keeping a journal, and as Ryan mentioned, this also will help you if your doctor is not willing or not willing to fill out doctor support forms for Social Security disability claim. Part of it is keeping a journal, and then
Mhm.
where you can include monthly summary and total number of days that your conditions prevented you from being able to work or from being able to function. Um, and when you go to your doctor's visits, you can prepare a summary that lists no more than 5 of the limitations that you have and how many total days you would have been unable to work um, with your limitations. For example, we cannot sit for more than 5 minutes, can't stand for more than 20 minutes, can't lift more than a gallon of milk or 8 pounds. I'm
Mhm.
not able to remember repetitive tasks. And then lastly, you can bring that summary and enter in step to your doctor to present it to him in a simple 1-page typewritten or handwritten document and ask your doctor to put these limitations updates on your doctor's notes. And then you can repeat the process for each visit.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
Another thing is to document. One way to document your medical history is to use a personal computer if you have, or if you don't have access to a computer, if you have a phone or a laptop, or I mean a tablet, you can store your files on a cloud service like Google Drive. This way you can access your files from anywhere and share them with anyone who needs them, such as your representative. You can also use a spreadsheet or a word processor to organize your files by date, type, or provider. You can also use a scanner or a camera to digitize any paper documents that you have.
Mhm.
So documenting your, as for scanner, I use an app. Maybe Brian, you can show, or you can, um, the app that I use for documents is called Cam Scanner.
I'm not
So just
familiar with that.
Yeah, I believe I mentioned that to you. That's what I do for personal documents, medical as well.
So
Gonna
you
type it. Mhm.
okay.
I'm gonna put it on the comment section. So it's called Cam Scanner.
Mhm.
So there's free version and premium version, and I use the free version of
Mhm.
it, and it's worked fine for me for a couple years now.
So I want to make sure I get it. So if you take a picture of a document like you're using a phone, you
Uh-huh.
take a picture of a document and it does what with it?
You can choose to convert it into a file, a PDF file, or a Word.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or a JPEG
All
document.
right. That
Mhm.
one must have just like slid right by me when you mentioned it before. My apologies. That's
Mhm.
very cool. You know, while we're
Yeah.
talking about this, sorry to hijack your conversation, but I'm wondering if there's others out there that have like organizational tips, how they organize, their information. If you do, love to hear from you. Drop us a note.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, moving on. So documenting your medical history can be a tedious and time-consuming task, but it can make a big difference in the outcome of your disability claim.
Hmm.
So by keeping a detailed and accurate record of your medical history, you can show Social Security that you have a serious and disabling condition that prevents you from working.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
good. And if you're kind of freaked out by the technology piece, like there's a lot of videos. My suggestion would be to start with Google Drive. It's free that you can go and check out, watch some videos. If you're able to use a computer or even your phone, this is just a great free way to keep stuff in one place. Want to spend some time zeroing in on the limitations a little bit more, Jam, or before we move on?
Sure.
A thought on this is if those of you listening out there would like to craft like a 2 sentence or less statement as to why you believe you qualify for disability, regardless if you're going through the process or already are approved, we could use some of those as information or examples here. So, all right. So the objective is to have your limitations, understand what they are, and then communicate them to your doctor. So Jim, you talked about a few limitations, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so where some people get caught up on this is, for example, if they have problems sitting or standing, one might say, I can't sit or stand for a long time, right?
Yeah, that is very common. And for members that communicate with, whether it's by email or call, I tell them that, this is something that you can work on,
Mm,
specifying your limitations. So, um, you let Social Security know. I mean, it's preferred that you provide specific details like the duration. For example, you're walking, how far or how long can you walk before you start feeling any pain or discomfort when you have to sit down? For
mhm,
standing, the same thing. How
mhm,
long can you stand? And for sitting, how often do you need to switch positions? How long can you sit, whether it's straight or on a reclined chair?
mhm. Yeah, good point. And so let's just a little bit more on the sitting or standing for a long time. I want you to think about it from this angle. You're a Social Security examiner, and they see somebody that's got a back fusion with arthritis and degenerative disc disease, and they're not able to stand for a long time. And they're like, wonder what a long time is. Maybe they can't stand for more than 10 hours, which they could stand for 8, because you're not clearly communicating. So what's missing in that is a definitive, realistic time frame that you can support with evidence. That's what you need, right? Now,
Right.
it gets a little more challenging and not as clear to communicate it if you've got like brain health related issues, depression, PTSD, bipolar. You need to clearly think about, okay, for example, if I'm getting triggers that start, panic attacks, for example, what are those triggers? If I'm in a workplace, how often would I get them? Like times? How long do they last? Right? And if they last and you can recover, like they're severe, do you have mental clarity to return to work? So things like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
one good example. I spoke with this member. She has seizures at work,
Mm-hmm.
and she have it 4 times maximum in a day, and it would last for about 30 to an hour. So that
Okay.
could easily take up 2 hours of your working hours, right?
Yeah, and that's definitely something that you're just not able to do any job.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've talked about limitations. Were there any real life examples in the comments, Jim, that we could roll through at this point?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. So
Oh,
we're good.
here's a question, Brian.
Yeah.
Could we have an example answer for mental health disabilities for this question? I always feel so stumped trying to convey that answer.
Okay. Well,
For
I wonder
mhm.
if that was asked before I did like the recent example about the panic attacks.
Oh,
Could be. Let me just
yeah,
gather
there's
my thoughts here. I want to think of I want to think of um okay, so we do a lot of work with veterans, and the one of the challenges with veterans, and this is, if you're a civilian, this may be an extreme example, but that's what I'm attempting to give you, is that if they have returned from combat, there is the combat person that is one person that you need to be that type of person in order to survive. And when you come back into civilian life, that person doesn't function well in civilian life. So they're trying to be normalized, but there are triggers like loud sounds, um, cars that might cut in front of them. Somebody could be following them in a car. They could feel like somebody's watching them. A a dumpster trash can outside their place that they live closes. These triggers will take somebody from the civilian status and put them back into combat status. So if you look at like what those are for you that trigger it, and then document it, the degree of severity, how you react to it. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah,
Yeah, and for some bright lights or just the sight of a crowded area or
yep,
space.
yeah, and it could be positions of authority,
Mm-hmm.
where they are not able to uh, take direct orders or be around people. Yeah. I sure hope this is helpful, folks, because this is, I think it's critical from a medical standpoint, but I also, I don't suffer from any of these, but from the outside looking in, I think it would be helpful to understand where the risks are, so that you can then, if possible, prepare uh, for them.
Yeah, I just want to
Um,
share what Sunshine does, communicating her limitations when she goes see her doctor.
Beautiful.
So, all right. Hi, Sunshine. So she said I have an outline for what I need to cover with my doctor, and I asked to record the session on my phone. I have a journey that I organize documents. I think she meant journal.
Hmm.
And for all my doctor agrees to the taping, I also request the doctor's face-to-face notes to add to my personal notes that I file. And I create a file for each doctor. I have 9 doctors.
Okay,
She's doing
good.
great.
Yeah. No, those are good tips.
Mhm.
Yes. Um, okay. My personal experience that I've had is, I've been involved in my mom's treatment. She's 91. Um, and so she's doing fine physically. She's got some chronic pain, starting to have some, memory retention challenges. So in going to the appointments, one of the challenges that I've had is we would leave the appointment and, she would say, well, I didn't hear that. I don't think they said that. I don't need to take that. So the recording it is what I've done, and then I can take the audio recording and I put it into Google Drive, which is free, and you can download it right from your phone, at least from an iPhone anyway. And then in some of the appointments where it's really important, not only do I provide it to her, but I've actually had it transcribed. There's transcription services that you can get out there. And so it might cost $50 to $60 to have a transcription done of it. And when it's really important and there's a movement in it, and my mom feels that it wasn't communicated, then we have the audio, and then we have the text, and then I highlight the text where the key parts are. So I don't know if that's necessary, but it has definitely been helpful in the situation that I've been working with. And the other thing I want to is just slide into on that, which is preparing for your appointments. In this particular experience that I have, is what we've found helpful is to understand what the objective is. And I'd love to hear from others out there. Like, are you going to appointments and are you being reactive? Or are you going to appointments and having a plan, an agenda, and what you want to get accomplished? So I'd like to hear that. So in recent appointments that we've had some key things that we wanted to get accomplished. We communicate those in writing in advance. And so that the doctor has them, we talk them over, and it might be making sure that certain limitations are clearly communicated into the medical records so that we can make sure that the insurance that my mom needs to get coverage is taking place. So she's older and she's not in the disability realm, but still in that situation, it is the limitations in the medical records that communicate how the insurance companies are going to insure and cover things. So this, in my opinion, this topic doesn't go away, for those that are being treated. So have an objective, all right?
All right.
Any in the points that we've covered, are there any relevant questions to address before we cover, a few other points and wrap this up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. While you're looking, a few other
Oh.
thoughts on this. I'll come back to you in a moment.
Okay.
If you look at like the national average for a doctor's appointment has kind of bounced around. It was 12 minutes, and there are some reports now saying that it's 7 minutes. So if you're not going in and driving the process and controlling the agenda, you're going to be subject to their very short agenda to get you in and get you out, right? And to help you with these like communication issues, if you come up with your what you want to say to the doctor and writing down your top 5 limitations and bringing them in, even if it's on just like a simple piece of paper. But we've done a lot of work in how you can clearly, effectively communicate using ChatGPT and other sessions and events. You can just look at some of the live events that we've done within the last month, and you'll see that you can take your existing statement or the outline of your statement, put it into ChatGPT and say, grammatically correct this in preparation for my upcoming doctor's appointment with my rheumatologist. If there's any questions that you have that would help you know, you better do this task, let me know. It's a simple statement like that, and then put your phrase in there. That would definitely help out. So at any rate, what we want to do now is move into a Q&A, and the Q&A could be for questions related to this topic or any other disability related topic. I say disability related topic because I'm going to stay in my area of what I would proclaim to be expertise. So again, you can enter your question in chat if you're in out there on Facebook or here on YouTube, and Jam will run the show. I think your microphone is on mute, Jam.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, all right, let's go. Let's start with a statement from Helen. Why can't they just reform this program? I get overpayments or get kicked off for a month with spouse income or income tax return, which paid our property taxes.
Mm. Boy, I hear you. I feel your pain. I mean, if this program didn't have any issues in it, then Jam and I would be doing something else for work, probably dog grooming, or I don't know what we'd do. Be careful who you vote for. That's one message on that. Some people don't put any effort into the system. What's next?
This is David. In answer to rating your pain level, I set a personal baseline and judge based on that.
Okay. Would the baseline be a 5, which would be in the middle of 10? Just curious.
Yeah, could you please elaborate on that, David?
Yeah.
From Carol, pain scale charts are available if you Google and are good guide.
Oh, good tip. All right.
Yeah, good tip. From Sonia, I was asked to fill out a form about my medical status twice in the last 3 years. Is that necessary?
If they ask for it, yeah, you need to respond if you want to get and keep your benefits. Yeah, you do.
All right, from Pamela, I gauge my pain, 10 being the worst. When I can't get any relief sitting or standing, I'd say most days I'm a 7, except right after I get cortisone shots or infusion, where the pain brings me to 4 to 5.
Okay. All right.
I have psoriatic, rheumatoid, or osteoarthritis, fibromyalgia, Sjogren's, and other autoimmune disease. From Dana Engelhardt. Hi, Dana. I say at each doctor appointment to please put my limitations and issues in my records, but not all doctors are doing that. What do I do about that?
Write them down and hand them to them and ask them to enter the document into your medical file.
I think that's what she's doing, but they're not doing it.
You might have to change doctors. It's their responsibility to clearly communicate, despite the fact that you're being treated, that you have these limitations. Maybe the only other thing I can think of right now is change your approach and help them understand that you are there to get better. These are the things that you're not able to do as a result of their treatment. You want to have, as this other comment was, a baseline, so that you can see how they're doing. Yeah.
All right. Rating 1 to 3 is light pain. This is from Sunshine. 4 to 6 is medium pain. 7 to 9 is extreme pain. And 10 is the maximum. I'm in pain therapy now. So far, meditation and music is helping. However, it does not cure it.
I wonder what kind of music would have an impact on it.
Right.
Rap, reggae, jazz. I don't know. Let us know.
All right. Do you have any recent videos on Social Security hearing process? from Melissa.
Yeah, we do. There's several parts of it. I don't know what part. One of the things that is the most popular and most helpful is we went through and listened to I want to say it was over 20 different disability hearings because you receive the audio files for those that we represent. And we extracted the questions that judges ask. And we put all of that into a lesson. And so then how that is helpful is you can get a really good idea, I'd say within 80% of what questions are going to be asked of you. And then you can prepare your responses. So at the Disability Digest, we have the disability approval course, and there's different segments to it. And there's a specific segment for individuals that are waiting for a hearing. It's part of your membership, you enroll. We may need to reach out to you to get a little more information to help you out, because sometimes we have condition information that will also go with the segment of the course. So, and there's no charge for your membership. There's no charge for the course to help you out.
All right, here's a thank you message from Michael Page. Thank you, Disability Digest, for all of your information. I was approved last Thursday at a phone hearing, and the ALJ issued a fully favorable on the bench decision. I am so relieved. Thank you all very much.
You are
Congratulations,
welcome.
Michael.
Congratulations. What a relief. And getting an approval is difficult. So it's good that you got approved, but not only did you get approved, you got approved like a bench decision. That's fantastic. So, yeah. If you're a member here, make sure you reach out to us so we can update your membership, help you understand how to keep your benefits, maximize them, what you're going to be entitled to. We could even review your award letter with you. So just make sure that you do that. You can reply if you were invited to this event via email. That's a good way to do it.
Right. All right. From Karen, I've been disabled since November 2021. Limitations: aphasia, brain surgery, bacterial meningitis, seizures due to invasive operation, right side weakness, stroke, spinal stenosis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there a statement or a question or?
Statement, no follow-up.
Okay. That's a good example of communicating conditions, but no limitations. Like, how do those impact you so that you're not able to work, right? Can you still run? Can you still do sit-ups, push-ups? Can you lift a gallon of milk? I mean, what's the impact? So that's, again, to focus on your limitations.
I have trouble leaving the house because I can't stop washing my hands, and other times I can't stop checking. Often locks. Some days I am so depressed and I am exhausted I cannot get out of bed.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's better with the limitations and communicating them, right?
Yeah,
If you're in bed because of your condition for X amount of hours a day, that's helpful. Not helpful for you, but helpful communicating. And I just want to make my point clear.
All right, so Carol,
go ahead.
Try to convey to my former workplace that I have anxiety and PTSD. They said that's in the past and I should move forward. Many companies in this area are this way. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think that's gaslighting.
I'm not sure what that term is.
No, they tell her to, it's in the past, just move forward, and
Right.
that's not helping.
No, no.
Mhm.
Mm. Well, this actually loops back into what we have here today. I mean, you can look at people in your workplace and other people around you, but do they really know you? Do they really know what it's like to be you like 24/7? Um, do they know what your medical records look like, where you may have documented severe depression or anxiety or a phobia? So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, in those situations with the limited information I have, I guess I would take that into consideration. And in some instances, I would encourage you to block out the noise for those that don't understand you.
Mhm. Yeah, so gaslighting, Brian, is a form of emotional and psychological abuse. So it's shifting blame to another person to avoid accountability.
Interesting. Thank you. I
Mhm.
did not know that. I've got to get out
Yeah.
more.
Um, so here's one from Juanita. I have my hearing court on September 22, 10:30 a.m. Is there any videos for hearing court? I have several conditions. Should I tell them all or concentrate on the main that has been affecting me lately?
Yeah, so I just addressed the wait for hearing segment of our disability approval course. That would be perfect for you. And if you're going to court, um, I don't know if you plan on doing this on your own, but your communication of your case should be done by your legal team if you have one, and if they know the right approach, communicating everything that's going on with your body, although you may not think it's important, um, is really the strategy. For example, you might have slightly high blood pressure, and it's under control. But having that in your case file um, is going to be helpful because it may be connected to something else. Good questions today for the 335 that I'm looking at there on YouTube.
Mm.
And I know there's some folks on Facebook. I see us over here. That's great.
All
Okay.
right. From Dana, follow up. I bring a list of what I want to discuss with the doctor of what's happened since my last appointment and how it affected my limitations.
Okay. Wonder
Mhm.
if that's something, are you just handwriting it or you print it up and do you send it in advance? That's good information. If you have any more to answer those, that would be great for the audience. And I'm also curious how your doctors react to this. So, I mean, do they thank you for being prepared?
Well, I spoke to Dana recently, and her issue is her doctor. Every time she sees her doctor, seems like he doesn't remember her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she has to repeat everything she says, her limitations or conditions.
I don't know
And
if
the thing
anybody
is,
else has an opinion about that, but that wouldn't give me a whole lot of like, I wouldn't be super comfortable with that.
yeah, but it's very difficult for her because she's seeing this specialist, one of the top doctors in her area. That's
Hmm.
why it's difficult for her to make a decision, to switch doctors.
So he's a top doctor, but he doesn't remember the patient details. Well, I mean, you have to judge people by their results. If that's a limitation that he has, but he's still getting his job done, then all right.
hmm Um, from Josie, I have my first doctor's appointment in September for my x-rays. What am I to expect after that?
Boy, I don't know. Depends on, it's a limited amount of information. And I don't know what your x-rays are going to say. So I don't have any feedback on that one. If anybody else out there has a comment about this question, I would appreciate your assistance. All right.
Okay. It from JM, it might be advisable to info doctor your recording visit for legal reasons, just to make sure they are agreeable or okay with it.
I don't know if I get that one. Are we talking about recording?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I do ask the doctor. There's state regulations on recording, like Vermont is a one-way, so you don't need to ask, but I do ask. But just make sure, I think it's just as a courtesy for my own personal vibe is just say, Doc, I want to record this, and I explain the reason why. There has never been an issue.
Mhm. All right. About 5 years ago, my specialist told me that I needed back surgery. You think I should go back so we can help my case, do another MRI, and go from there so we can help my case for next month?
Well, there's a lot of other factors involved there, but I guess I'm collecting my thoughts, and I would say this is having current updated information on your back will help your case. Doesn't necessarily need to mean that it needs to be surgery. So for example, if you have a recent MRI on your back and it shows your what's going on with your back, and yeah, okay, surgery has been suggested, but let's say surgery that's been suggested is only going to, at best case scenario, give you a 5% possible improvement. Well, I could justify not doing it for 5%, having somebody gamble on my back, but that's how you need to address it if there's been proposed surgery. So get something recent, find out what is proposed for treatment, and then decide how to address it.
All right. Follow up from David. My baseline, this is about pain scale, is set on how I feel on a good day, and yes, I guess that would be 5.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, let's take a
It-
couple more, Jam, then we got to wrap it
mhm.
up.
Yeah, is it easier to keep once you turn 60 or the same as long as you have the same problems?
What was the first part of the question?
Is it easier to keep once you turn 60?
Well, I'd say the older you get, the easier it is to keep in general when you're in your 50s. Because when you get over 54, the rules are more favorable. So I would say, yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. Autoimmune, I had that happen when I had to see the nurse practitioner, and nurse practitioner recommended pain management, but I disagree as my limitations are too varied for that. And next appointment, my doctor agreed with me.
Good. See, that's a good example right there.
Mhm.
Just make sure that the doctor's statement about pain management and how it's being addressed is in your medical records. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to wrap up here, Jam, as we wind down the show. If you put a link to the Disability Digest in the chat, for those of you that are out there. Now, I know there were some questions for individuals about hearing and other information. So here at the Disability Digest, we're here most Wednesdays doing these live events on different topics. And we're always looking for speakers out there. If people want to come out and speak and have a topic that will like empower and move, like a message that like sunshine delivers, then
Mhm.
reach out to us. If you're not a member here or we haven't heard from you in a while and you're a member and like your disability status has changed, we encourage you to go to the disabilitydigest.com. Jam's putting a link in the chat, and then join us or update us. And the reason is this. You can certainly look at all the videos, and we're grateful for you being here and doing that, but there's like 940 something videos just on our YouTube channel. So it takes you a while to go through the information, find out what's really going to be relevant for you, but you can do it much faster and for the same no charge price as coming and joining us as a member. Just complete a profile, and that brings you into our membership system, and you get access to the right information, courses, support groups, invite to certain events that are going to be relevant for you. It's just a better way that we can help you out. So either way, we thank you for joining us here today. If you know somebody else that would benefit from this event or the membership, we encourage you to share it. So last but not least, thank you all for taking time out of your day today, the 359 of you that are out there on YouTube and everywhere else. And Jam, as always, this would be a very difficult event to do without your assistance. So I am grateful for you and your help. All right.
You're welcome, Brian.
Okay, cool. All right. We will be back next week. Wish everybody well. Make it a great week.